Welcome back to the Cali G Kitchen, and welcome to day 44 of your 101 day food and fasting program. Today we are cooking roast butternut squash and sweet potatoes with baked avocados, eggs and a side salad. We're going to get started first of all with the butternut squash. I'm going to show you how to chop this up, removing the skin and then cutting it into cubes. If you can't be bothered, and you might have already seen the post on the Facebook group, you could just use this. This is from Asda. It's not exactly 2 centimetre cubes, but that will still do the trick. Fresh was always best, but some people don't have the time, so you could just use a couple of those. You've got butternut squash, red pepper and red onion in there. All 3 ingredients are actually in our roast veg, what we're going to do, our roast butternut squash dish that we're going to do. But for demonstration purposes and because it's better, I'm going to do this from scratch. Just be careful when you're doing your butternut squash. I'm kind of chopping it in half to make it easier. So I'm going to top and tail this, and then we're going to remove the skin. Remove the skin, and see that way it's kind of changing colour there. You're just going to try and follow that all the way down, trying to keep as much of the flesh as possible. I've got a tray here that we're going to put all of the veg into, and the oven has been preheating for probably around 10 minutes on 200 degrees. There is a trick that you can do as well, but again, I'm going to show you this from scratch. You could pierce your butternut squash a couple of times and place it in the microwave for 4 to 5 minutes. But I'm trying to avoid the microwave, and I just want to show you this from scratch. But that'll just help you remove the skin a lot easier. So we've got 1 piece of butternut squash there, and then in this base piece of butternut squash is where all the seeds are. So we're going to just take the end off that, and then we will do the same with this. Just follow it round. Try go from this side actually, see if that's a bit better. There we are, just about done. We're just going to remove the seeds in a second. I'm just going to tidy it up as I go along. So you can take this base piece and take a spoon and just scoop around the insides. then just get rid of those seeds. You could actually, like I've seen this done before, but I've never done it myself. Some chefs I've seen actually remove these seeds and toast them. Probably be pretty nice on the soup actually. Do you know what it is? I'm going to set these aside and I'm going to do a little bit of an experiment, since I've never done this before. I'm going to try roasting these seeds, or maybe pan frying them, like dry pan frying, if that makes sense. Straight down the middle. Like I said, we're going to try and do 2 centimetre cubes. And this might seem like quite a bit, but we are making, what we're going to do, we're going to use half of this roast veg, this roast butternut squash and sweet potatoes and carrots and stuff. We are going to use half of this dish and upcycle it into tomorrow's soup. We're making a roast butternut squash soup. Like I said before, if you make more than enough, you can quite easily just keep some for tomorrow's meal 1. Soups you can quite easily freeze, so if you make like more than enough for tomorrow's meal as well, you could just freeze some of this and use it kind of as and when you need to. You can also add some extra veg into this. So as you can see there, I've got some sprouts. I've got loads of sprouts left, so I'm going to use some of them. I've also got some celery there, which I'm going to throw into the mix. Got our pepper, which I'm going to give a quick wash. Again, push the core in, top and tail, up there, split it open, and then just run your knife along the inside just to get rid of those hard to digest bits. Just be careful with your fingers. Going in with a full red onion as well, top and tail, and then just remove that first layer of thick skin. I kind of want this onion in small pieces, so I don't know if you've seen what I've just done there. You kind of cut the onion not all the way along, but kind of 3/4 of the way, so that the onion still stays together. And then you cut it in the opposite direction. And then lastly just on the side, like that. Now sweet potato, I am leaving the skin on this time. What's going on with that bit? That was a little bit mushy. Take that off. Same again, we want two centimetre cubes or chunks even. We would have chopped up the carrot and thrown that in, but I've still got these little baby carrots left. I'm just going to take the tops off them and they're just going to go in whole. Just looking at this, and I'm looking at the recipe. I'm going to update this recipe just now. So, what else are we missing? Do you know what it is? I'm not going to change the recipe. So what I am going to do is split this between two trays. Give that a good mix up. What I was going to see is I'm going to increase the cooking time just because of the amount of veg in there. We are going to have to mix this up a little bit as well, halfway through. Going in with some celery. Going in with some sprouts. So a handful of these sprouts. We're going to take the bottom of them off and then remove the outer layer, the first outer layer of skin. and I'm going to just chop those in half. Could really add any sort of veg you like to this. Maybe add some courgette to it, mushrooms, and even put some broccoli in there if you wanted. And as I always say with all of these meals, feel free to change them up and share your version in the group. And then I couldn't get any fresh thyme, so I'm just going to use some of this dried stuff. And I've got some rosemary here, which I'm just going to pull from the stalk. So I need to chop a few cloves of garlic up and throw them into the mix as well. Also got a tablespoon of honey going in. Probably a generous tablespoon actually, and 6 tablespoons of olive oil. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's probably a little bit more than 6 tablespoons as well, but honestly don't worry about that. With fasting, it's more like the worry of under-eating, if anything. And with you being on 18-hour fasts, you need extra fats in your diet as well, so don't worry about putting a little bit extra fat into there. More worry about under-eating. And I'm missing stuff. I knew I had a bit more of that. Rest of the rosemary going in. And 3 cloves of garlic, and then some salt and some pepper to season. It might look like I'm putting a lot of pepper in, but I'm really not. This pepper grinder is actually horrendous. In with our Himalayan salt. And what I'm actually going to do with this, because we need to give it a good mix around anyways, just make sure that's properly sealed. Hold these together. This. Still see a lot of those onions and flavour in there, so just make sure that you've kind of split that up evenly. Lovely stuff. So we're going to put this in the oven for 25 to 35 minutes. Maybe we want to check this in 25 minutes. Give it a little bit of a mix up, and then when we've got 15 minutes left, we're going to cut our avocados long ways, take the pip out, we're going to crack an egg into those, and then we're going to bake those avocados. We're going to put some cheese on as well. We're going to bake the avocados for 15 minutes or so, and then we'll take everything out together. Well, that looks, and it smells delicious. So we'll see you again soon in 25 minutes for part 2. Goodbye for now.